is Marianne Jihamba, and this morning, in light of the weather that we're having now, it's getting nice and cool and crisp. It lends itself to those really nice, warm and comforting all day long simmering stews. And one of my favorite stews is called Cabonade Flamande, and that is a classic Belgian dish. And what sets Cabonade Flamande apart from all other beef stews are two things. One, stout, and two, gingerbread. So, gingerbread is used to give it a really wonderful spicy flavor and a sweetness, but that also it helps to thicken the stew at the end. So let's go over the ingredients real quick. I've got about 1.5 pounds of beef loin, and you're going to put these in really large chunks. 4 chopped onions, 4 chopped cloves of garlic, about 2 tablespoons of butter, a tablespoon of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of flour, pint of dark beer or stout, Dijon mustard, about a teaspoon or so, salt, pepper, and of course some gingerbread. Now, I made this myself, but you don't have to make yourself. Just get a loaf of gingerbread in the grocery store, and we're going to crumble that and add it to the end. And one more thing that we're going to add is a bouquet garni. Now, a bouquet garni is basically just a group of fresh herbs that we're going to just tie together and put into the stew. So I've got some parsley, have a couple of sprigs of thyme, and bay leaves. And then I also have some Cuban oregano that I have in my garden. I'm just going to cut those in half so that they just kind of fit together. Because what we're going to do is take all of these and just tie them together. And we're going to drop this into the stew when it's simmering. And the only reason why we do this is we want to be able to fish it out easily when it's done, so that you don't have like big pieces of bay leaf and you know, kind of wimpy little pieces of parsley and left over. You just lift the whole thing out afterwards. So we're going to start by melting our butter in a large Dutch oven. All right, so now that the butter melted, just going to add our pieces of beef. And you want to be careful not to overcrowd your beef, because you want it to get nice and brown on each side. And because if you crowd it too much, what happens is all of the steam and the moisture that escapes from the beef makes it's going to make the beef boil instead of crisp up. So now it's browned on one side, so let's just go ahead and turn it. Alright, so these are nicely browned on both sides. So I'm going to take the beef out, set it aside. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and add the onions. Get them nice and translucent. And the garlic. Okay. I'm going to deglaze the pan with the beer. All right, I'm going to put the beef back in. Put about a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, the brown sugar. Give that a stir. Alright, so I've added some water to my flour. And the reason why I do that is if we added the flour indirectly, then it's going to form lumps. But if you put water in, no lumps. Alright, so now this is going to go in with the bouquet garni, and then you'll just salt and pepper it to taste, okay? Now this is going to be brought up to a boil, and you cover it once it comes up to a boil, and we're going to simmer it on low for about 3 hours. And I guarantee your house is going to smell amazing. This has been simmering for about 3 hours. So now I'm going to take that piece of gingerbread and crumble it into the stew. Now this is going to add additional flavor, but it's also going to help thicken the broth. All in there. Stir it up. And then we'll continue simmering it for about an hour. So let's check back in an hour. So it's simmered for about an hour, and look at how much it has simmered and reduced. And it's gotten really thick, and that gingerbread has completely incorporated into the sauce. So I'm going to just turn this off now. I'm going to fish out my bouquet garni, which has done its work. Don't need it anymore. So here's our finished Cabonade Flamande. I'm going to take a little taste. Oh, that's so good. And that taste of gingerbread and all of the herbs and spices that are in there, fantastic. Now I would serve this with a side of fries because it's Belgian, or steamed potatoes. But my goodness, I really hope you try this because this is just going to fill your whole house up with the warm, wonderful smell of a stew. What's better in cold weather? Thanks again for joining me for another episode of GastroSoul. I hope to see you soon.